The content presented is for entertainment purposes only. Some content may not be suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Periodic Review, coming at you live from YouTube, Facebook, and the Twitch. How y'all doing today?
Hot diggity dog.
Ow.
Alakai's in a good mood.
Of course he is. He's a beautiful mood. I'm JayReims. This is my lovely assistant, Rianne, my wife. Just kidding.
Excuse me? Assistant? What?
And my other lovely co-host, Alakai, my best bud, my best friend. He's my best friend.
Let me tell you about my best friend.
I don't know the words. I don't know.
So it is Monday, April the 4th, which is Mr. Alakai's day.
April Fools.
So as you can see in the title, we're going to be talking about life after death and love languages. So let's dive right in.
Okay,
Ooh,
so
I'm about to dive in. Go for the liquor and you dive in.
I don't know what's happening right now.
Sorry, Rianne, what were you saying?
Something about putting the lime in the coconut and you mix it all up.
Hey, that's a fun song. You put the lime in the coconut and
mix
spin
it
it
all
up.
up.
It was Alakai's topic, so I was suggesting that he should start the conversation off.
Well, that's what I assumed was going to happen. I think he's off in his own little world, though.
No, I can. Sorry, I was stalling. I don't do very good
nervous?
about. No, I don't do very well with starting stuff off, but life after death and love languages are like a couple of things that I've been thinking about a lot lately.
Oh, okay.
Mostly because for the love languages, we've been talking about it like almost every day in one of my communications courses.
Oh,
That's been like the big thing in our class. So I was like, I could probably talk about this for a minute on the podcast. Life after death. I had a very interesting conversation with my sister this last weekend, and we talked about it for like a good couple of hours. So
that's
I
exciting.
have lots of fresh stuff in my brain.
Well, I'm intrigued. I'm excited. I'm a little nervous. Not really. I know you got this. I'm just kidding.
Question for y'all. What are your love languages?
Well, why don't we, for those who are watching, we probably want to go over what love languages are.
That's probably true. We should.
Okay. Love languages are how you...
Oh, Kyrian, go.
The love languages, there's 5 identified love languages. And they are basically how you receive love and give love. So, for example, I am a person that really likes acts of service. So, a person who, like, I feel loved when people do acts of service for me. So, like, when Jacob will just, like, fold all the laundry, because he knows I hate 2 chores most of all, and they are the epitome of hell, which are dishes and laundry, because they're never done and I never feel accomplished.
Those are literally the only chores that I know how to do, and I feel like I rock at them. Sorry,
well, you know what, Alakai? I will pay you to come do my dishes.
No,
I'm just kidding.
That's
Jacob's
a dynamic
gonna do
I don't
dishes.
want to have with us, is to have each other do home chores.
I know. We do need a maid, though. But Jacob, like, will do laundry, and I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I do provide a lot of service for our family, for sure.
you do dishes and laundry. And a lot of other stuff, but so do I.
I didn't say anything. Where did that come from?
I feel like every time you say that, it's like you're taking a jab at me like I don't do enough.
I didn't say
Because
anything.
I know, but see, that's... So, anyway. Anyway, this is a whole nother topic of communication in a relationship that could probably be addressed. So, Because acts of service is my love language, I also show that I care about somebody or that I like love them essentially, because I will offer to help them. I will offer to do acts of service. Like I will always say, what can I do to help you? So when I ask people how I can help them, or like, that genuinely is me wanting to show love. But it might be like awkward and weird because some people don't receive love that way.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So like Jacob is a very physical touch. At least that's how he gives love.
Yes. So I do a lot of back scratching, back rubs, back tickles.
And
I'll just walk up and just hug her or wrap my arms around her.
And I will say this, like the love language of physical touch is a very intimate love language for me, and I do not do that with anybody else. So, like, that love language is very...
Gotcha.
I think that's a big thing for a lot of people, because I'm kind of the same in a sense. So
Physical touch wise?
yeah.
Like, you receive love through physical touch?
Yes, but I don't want it from everybody. Like, if you're somebody that I don't know, don't touch me.
Right.
Right.
So, yeah, like, the only person that, like, can touch me, literally, that can touch me without, like, explicit consent is Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just so that we understand is that when we're talking about love languages, we're not talking about sex. We're just the expression of love as an emotion.
So physical touch. So I have this little chart and it kind of tells the 5 love languages. One is words of affirmation. And so people who receive love through words of affirmation are people who like thrive on like, I love you.
Like verbal.
And words of
expressions.
appreciation, right? Like, thank you so much for this, like acknowledging things through words, right? Affirming things through words. So they're the people that are going to say, I love you a lot. They will actually say the words.
Gotcha.
So, and they're also like, they use words to encourage or promote, like, you know what I mean? They're
Very praise
heavy.
oriented. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So how to communicate is if you, well, we'll go into that. The second one is physical touch. So this is a nonverbal use of non-sexual, like it's typically non-sexual.
Yes.
Even. So that's physical touch. Receiving gifts. So that's another one that I received a lot of gifts from my dad. That's how he showed me.
So it's what you're used to.
So
what you know.
That's what I'm used to. But I'd rather be the one, like, I also give gifts to show love. What was that?
What was what?
Did you hear a thud?
Yeah.
This house is haunted, I swear.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Are there any
Probably
ghosts
aren't.
in here?
We're in a
Glad you're here.
duplex, so it's probably our neighbors making noises.
So receiving gifts. So when you think of love languages, it's how you give and how you receive. So, and they can be
Right.
two separate. Quality time is another one. So uninterrupted and focused conversations or time with that person is important.
Coexisting.
Right.
Not necessarily, because quality time is like spending time together. So like,
Oh yeah, so
when,
I guess it's not just
it's
doing
not
stuff
coexisting.
together.
It's actually like engaging with each other. So like my favorite time with Jacob is when we go to grocery stores and he's super obnoxious and loud and fun, but I love every minute of it because it's making that memorable.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing it together. We're focused and stuff, as opposed to when we're just sitting here watching TikToks and have Cobra Kai on the background.
Yeah.
On the couch on either side. Like, we're not engaged with each other at all.
Yeah, because then you'll
Right.
remember it later at a date or time, and you'll be like, oh, that one time that we were in the grocery store. Oh, wait, we do that all the time. And I remember every single one.
Yeah.
And just a side note, I'm not a great shopper. I like having a list of shit, go down the correct aisles and zigzag so that when you get to the end, you go straight to the register. And I don't like to go and explore. Like, I don't, like, it's usually like really crowded, a lot of people, so it's high anxiety already. And then we have a list of things, but then Rianne likes to window shop, and that's hard for me because I don't do that very well.
Have you ever thought that maybe I do that so I can prolong the time that I have with you, where we're focused on each other and where we're doing stuff?
I think that's part of it, but I think
It's
the
a
other
big
part
of it.
I think the other part of it is that you like to browse and look and plan for future things.
I do
where I'm
like to
just
dream build.
Get
Yes.
in, get out.
I like to dream build.
Yeah.
What can I say?
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, so then the fifth one is acts of service. So you show your acts, or you show your love by giving acts of service, or you receive love by having somebody do acts of service for you.
Okay. Cool.
I know, like, so in my family, it's almost like food is a love language because we're Polynesian.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But
That's a big part of the Polynesian culture, for sure.
right, but the thing is that also kind of, like, I know that's also the same for a lot of other people. Like, some people just like to cook for their significant other.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
That also is something that falls under their category of acts of service.
Right.
So
cooking, yeah. So, or it could fall under gifts too.
yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
Because
Totally
to cook
totally
for
true.
somebody, like, you're doing something and giving it to them, right?
Mhm.
Like,
So it's partly service, partly a gift. Is that what you're saying?
it could be.
It's both. Yeah.
It's both. Okay.
Because like for you guys bought me dinner the other night.
Yeah.
Like, that's a gift, but it's food. So I would consider it both.
Okay.
So when we purchase it and give it to you, it's a gift. But when we make it, maybe it's an act of service.
Right, but also even just taking the time to spend money for me. Like,
Oh,
that's an act of service, I feel like.
yes. Oh, yes, for sure.
So I guess gifts is acts of service.
And I think what
I
we
think
do
it
on the
depends.
podcast is great quality time as well.
Yes, absolutely. Agree
I will be
100%.
honest, the only reason, not the only reason, one of the main
Wow.
reasons, one of the main reasons why I do the podcast.
It's because I'm cute.
That's it.
It's
It
just
is.
it's just I'm a handsome. Look at this. I'm a handsome looking guy
Grr.
with all the. Anyway, go
No,
ahead.
but like, it's a way for me, because like, I feel it's important to do something that your spouse is interested in, right? Like,
When are we gonna do that?
excuse me?
I'm sorry. I'm just kidding.
What do you think I'm
We
doing
do this
right
together.
now?
It was a joke. It was a joke.
Jeez.
It was a very obvious joke. I thought. I'm sorry. This is kind of how my brain works.
No, it was just, so I do the podcast with Jacob, and occasionally I'll play Diablo, but I have to be very careful when I play Diablo with Jacob, because it has the opposite effect on me that it does, because most people will play video games to like
Escape for
escape and
escapism,
like chill,
entertainment.
and, right, decompress. Me, no. Is what it does is it gets me all fired up, and I get pissed and I scream and I'm yelling at characters. I'm like, take that, and I'm just like it causes me anxiety.
Gets you amped up.
Right.
It does.
Look, a question for you. Did you grow up playing video games?
No, the only thing I was allowed to have was a Game Boy, and I only had 3 games: Dr. Mario, Super Mario Brothers, and Tetris. And when I wanted more, I was always told no. So I got
True.
really good at those games
True
on the Game Boy.
classic.
But like, I played some on the Nintendo's Nintendo, the original one.
The NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Yeah, I played on the NES because my neighbors had one. But beyond that, I never played at all, like on Xboxes. Like when all of that stuff started coming out,
Just wasn't your thing.
no, the NES and the Game Boy. That's it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Jacob, did you grow up playing video games?
Oh yes, he.
Yes. For the most part, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of like the first stuff that we had before. Like, I think our first console was probably Super Nintendo.
Okay.
And that was because
Did you have an Atari?
Yeah, no,
No.
I don't think we had an Atari, but I knew, like, I had like friends and stuff that had an Atari, I think. Yeah.
So,
But yeah, I grew up playing video games. Sorry.
no, you're good. So here's what I'm trying to get at, though. So Rianne did not grow up playing video games. Jacob, you and I both grew up playing video games. I kind of feel like the interest in video games is geared towards people that had it at some point in their childhood,
Mhm.
versus like when you try to learn how to do it as an adult. It's like learning the controller and like learning how certain things work in video games, because sometimes they can be a lot. Like
Yeah, it can be complicated.
It's overwhelming. So it's a hard skill to learn when you're older and you didn't really know, like, grow up with it. When
With
you were
those
younger.
fine motor skills.
Yeah, just 'cause-
hand-eye coordination.
Yeah, well, no, but it's like I say that because in my head, like for me, it's the same thing with an instrument. Like I learned how to play guitar at a very young age. And most people that I know who try to learn guitar now, I say now, like when they're older, like past their teenage years, growing up, it's much harder for them to learn the instrument.
Right.
So I don't know. Just I think video games is that kind of thing where, like, if you didn't grow up with it, then
You're probably not. Yeah.
you're probably not going to be into it that much as an adult. So
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm into games on my phone.
well, I feel like those are different though, because like
I feel like there are two. I mean, video games is video games, but at the same time,
remember, Rianne, you grew up with
console, PC, that's what I think of as video games.
You
So
grew
it's
up with the
weird.
pretty classic Game Boy from Nintendo. So a lot of the games that are put in the App Store on for Apple are like very equivalent to the arcade games that we
Yeah.
They're all
played on Nintendo.
Or like
they're for the Gen Xers. Yes,
Well,
that would be me. The
That's
Gen
not,
Xers.
That's not even what I'm trying to get at, because I play those games too. So play all kinds of.
I can't do the phone games. Like it just like I tried.
Oh, that's not true.
I've tried.
I like puzzle games.
and I have put. I'll be honest. I have put some hours into some games from my phone.
Hearthstone or something like that. Oh my
I
gosh.
tried Magic the
I
Gathering
remember those.
He was addicted to that. Like,
for like a couple of months though.
oh, it
And
was
then I was
crazy.
done.
We were driving to Arizona and like he was playing it while we made a pit stop. Gosh, I remember this was very early in our marriage. We had gone and done a pit stop and he was playing his phone while we did the pit stop, and then we were getting back on the road and he was driving. It was his turn to drive, and so he started driving, and then he pulled out his phone and he starts playing Hearthstone while he's driving. And I'm like, what the are you doing? He's like, what? Calm down. I'm like, no, stop the car. I'm getting out. I was like, I had to freak out for him to stop the car. He was addicted to that. I'm glad. But that was the one and only time that I know of anyway. He probably hasn't. He's probably done it, just not when I'm in the car.
No, I like it's been quite a while since I've played like games on my phone. I think the last thing I did was Magic the Gathering, and even then it wasn't very long because it's just it's more fun playing in real life with other people. It's just not the same like digitally. But yeah, like I think it's really awesome when we can spend time together, and especially when we both enjoy the time.
So, Jacob, how would you express or explain your love languages and where you fall with them? Rianne said that you were a very physical guy. I know
Yeah.
you're quality time oriented. Like I know that's like a big thing for you, just because like even as a friend, like that's kind of it's a very similar love language for your friends too.
Mhm.
So
Well, the thing is I grew up in a very huggy, it's actually I've gotten both sides of it, because on my mom's side, they're not really that affectionate in that way. Like they don't give hugs, you know? And then on my father's side, everybody gives hugs. They're very affectionate people. I don't know if that comes from my grandfather, who immigrated from Germany during the time when World War II was happening. I don't know if it's a European thing or what.
Germans don't strike me as the most physically affectionate.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're physical, but I don't know if they're affectionate.
Right?
Maybe it comes from my grandmother's side. I don't know. But
that was funny.
But what I'm trying to say is that, like, I kind of got both sides, because my grandfather, my mom's side, he did not like hugs, like barely shook hands unless it was like an official capacity. He was not a very affectionate guy, but yeah, like my grandmother on my father's side, lots of hugs and stuff like that. I think that's kind of the culture around some of our family stuff kind of bled into the other side of the family too. And I got to actually, I don't really remember hugging my grandfather just like a couple of times, like ever in my life.
Bless you.
But I think something that's really interesting, especially since this whole pandemic thing that's occurred, is that people, stopped touching each other. Like, and I mean that in like handshakes or hugs or like pats on the back or shoulder or whatever, like just like normal stuff. Like, we've really gotten away from that, which is really strange. And something that I've noticed with the friends and stuff that I've chose, and the people that I surround myself with, I like to be around people that like to give hugs.
Yeah, just because your personalities mesh very well together.
So that's something that's important to me, especially with, like I'm always
Which
open.
is so
Like, anybody
funny.
wants a hug, be like, Jacob, can I get a hug from you? I'd be like, give it over here. I'll give you a hug. I'll give you
I mean, he
huggies.
really does. And that's so weird because I'm the exact opposite.
You are.
I'm like, I'm good.
You're like, hugs? Eh. Like, I don't think you
I don't
ever
even hug-
reject a hug, but I think that
No.
if you're given the choice, that wouldn't be your go-to.
Yeah, I'm not like super affectionate, but like neither is my mom. Like when I go see my mom, we don't even like, we might hug when I get there and we might hug when I leave. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of affection that happens. It's just not something that happened in my house growing up.
Right.
And it didn't happen in my mom's home growing up either. So, but it took a lot actually for me to to be okay with affection, physical affection.
So you're kind of weirded out with my family for a minute.
A little bit.
Nirvana moments. Hey, Shinra, how's it going? Welcome.
So,
Oh, do we have someone?
Yeah, we got our buddy Shinra over from YouTube.
Oh,
Chatting in.
sick. What's up? Or is he
Nice.
talking about my shirt? 'Cause
Yeah,
I'm
he's talking
repping
about your
Nirvana.
shirt.
Hey, yeah, I gotta represent.
Nirvana.
Nirvana.
The only
Rock
thing
on.
every time I hear the word Nirvana, I just think of the album cover that was so controversial.
Oh, with
With
the
a baby with a little wiener.
Oh, do you want to hear an update on that?
What are you talking about?
So the child that was using that photo, he's grown up now. He actually tried to sue Nirvana and the Cobain, remaining Cobain family for damages for child pornography.
It was a different time back then.
It was
It was the 90s. Wow.
Yeah, they were actually just talking about that recently on one of Joe Rogan's podcasts, where they're just like, well, where's the line? It's like, if you have a very innocent picture of your child in a bathtub and they're playing with the dog, is that considered child pornography? Or is
Yeah.
it only images of children in sexually explicit way, and then that's pro?
What's sad to
know.
me is that like that's a go-to now. Like child pornography is it's so common. Like we
I don't
can't
know.
look at a baby and just think of innocence and purity. Like, you know what I mean? Like even the sight of a naked baby is like, oh my God, it's been sexualized, and it bugs
Yeah.
me.
I guess
Yeah.
I've never really
Some weird
thought
stuff
about it. I've
happening.
always thought like, oh, it's a naked baby for the cover of the Nirvana album. I've never really thought too deep into it. Like,
I didn't either until he comes back and tries to sue everybody for child pornography. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
yo, shots fired. You ever seen a hairless chimp? They look like Joe Rogan.
Wait, where did that come from?
This dude is fearless.
He's awesome. We have some good chats on
Oh
on
my
the
goodness.
video games. We have some great conversations.
Was that a comment we just had?
Yeah, that was a comment on our stream.
The fact that I have to read this with how I am right now. Like,
Good times.
Okay, so Alakai, what's your love language?
my love language.
Mm-hmm.
Do we just get one?
That's the thing, though, is like, I kind of feel like the whole, like, what is your love language? Because I mean, honestly, all 5 of them. Like, let's name what we got. We got physical touch. We have quality time, words of affirmation, acts of service, and gift giving and receiving. So, I mean, like, honestly, in a relationship, all 5 of those things seem very basic.
Yeah.
And like they should all have a fulfillment, you know? So I think when you ask someone what is your love language, you're what you're really asking is what is your top love language?
Yeah.
Because I think all of them like kind of come in at a certain level.
And also probably depending on mood too, because like there's some times where you're just like, dude, I had a bad day, just And
the thing is, I grew up with every single one of them. My family, very physically affectionate. Growing up, like all of us, my mom's side, my dad's side, like everybody was very physically affectionate. We, like my whole entire family's love language is quality time. Like that's just what we love doing. My dad and I, we love going on bike rides together. Our family really enjoyed going like kayaking, paddleboarding, and just spending time outside with each other. And then like I was saying earlier, like the whole thing with food, we cook a lot. So that's like, it's acts of service and it's gift giving.
Mm-hmm. And
then for words of affirmation, saying and understanding the words I love you were very important growing up. And explaining it and talking about how you feel was very important for our family. So it's like I grew up with every single one of them. So for a relationship, they all sound very like basic,
very normal.
Yeah, it's just like that's kind of how it should always be in a relationship, you know. Or
so,
at least I think. So
sorry, we had a question from somebody chatting in. So Shinner asked, "What's love?" I don't know if you said it
don't hurt
in
me.
jest, but no more. What is love? So we're using it as a strong feeling of affection and concern towards another person. Is there a rising of kinship or close friendship?
Google's definition of love.
Yeah. Of course, there's you can use it in different contexts. Obviously, making love would be in a sexual nature.
Oh,
I feel like
there we go.
I
We
feel
just get there. All right. Okay.
I feel like love is a term that has an infinite amount of definitions.
Can you name them all?
I don't know that I want to.
No, I think... Okay, here's, I think, why it's complicated. Because love is love. Love is pure and everything. But there are different degrees of love, right? So, I love Jacob. And I love you, Alakai. But I do not love you to the same level in which I love Jacob.
And this is what I'm trying to get at, though, too. Is like, you don't love every person the same way that you love another person.
Right.
That's why it's
different
kind of
levels.
Infinite. Even like with dogs. It's the same thing with dogs. The way that I love my dog does not mean that I'm going to love your dog the same way.
Well, why not?
Actually,
they're so adorable.
That's a good point.
That
is a good point.
I take that back. I love every single dog.
I don't love every single dog.
I have favorite breeds.
What's your favorite breed?
What do you think my favorite breed is?
I think
what do
you're
I
a
strike
golden
you as?
retriever kind of guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Nah. Something in the terrier.
You'd be annoying. No, I'm just kidding.
Golden retrievers actually are up there for me, but they're not my favorite. My favorite is the pit bull.
Really?
That's a terrier.
Huh.
It's a terrier, a pit bull terrier. It's in the terrier family. So
it's a golden retriever terrier. It's like from the golden retriever terrier family.
I knew he was gonna say pit bull.
Pit bulls are the best dogs.
Mm-hmm.
They are the best.
I don't know if I have a favorite. Like, I've had a variety, and I think I just want the ones with the smallest poops. Just be honest. I don't want to be picking up those hefty bags of doggy dookie.
Even like when golden
Big-
retrievers
So-
are puppies
Big dogs, big poops.
going into adolescence, their
Yep.
poop is big.
Big.
And it's stanky.
And it's stanky. One time my dog, I was asleep and my dog farted so badly in my room that I thought they had actually shit, and I woke up. It smelled so bad that it woke me up.
I only laugh because I've experienced this type of nastiness before. Where the smell is so pungent it wakes you out of a dead sleep. Because you are dry heaving as you awake into consciousness. I know how this feels. It's pretty bad.
Yeah,
I won't
don't-
say
I'm enjoying my
From who?
REM.
Yeah, I really don't have a favorite breed. I feel like if a dog likes me and I like it, then we're good, you know? But if I come up on a dog and it's just like, I'm going to protect my owners and I'm going to
We're
protect the
talking about
property.
that one experience that you had.
No, I've had quite,
Or
like,
you
I mean,
keep
that's probably,
having them because you keep freaking out about it. So
no,
you
I
bring
really
it into
don't.
your existence.
Nope, that's not what's happening.
Jack-
That's what's happening.
That's not what's happening.
That's what's happening.
That's not what's happening.
Jacob, how is it? Then I never had that issue.
I mean, I very rarely do get them, but when I do, they can get pretty scary. But I mean, like,
You do realize you're bigger than the dog, though, right?
okay, you do realize that people view their animals as children.
Well, yeah, I know. I'm one of them. I am totally a dog
So
mom.
if that dog latches onto me and I kick it or throw it off of me, they're thinking that I'm throwing their kid or kicking their kid. I'm
Well-
not saying I would ever do it, but if a dog did attack me, I would defend myself. Period.
Which you could, but you are so big. I don't think you realize your own strength sometimes. And so it can really, like,
Yeah.
the other day, like, the one time when Boomer and Starbucks started fighting, and you kicked Boomer, and he literally
Okay,
flew
he
across
did-
the room.
He did not.
And
I
you
did
had
not
to
kick
call
him.
me, and you had to say, Rianne, before you look at the camera, just know this is what happened. He's fine. Nothing hurt. Like, so you did kick him across the room, because we have camera evidence.
Okay, I just want to clarify. Rihanna's not saying that I abused our dog. Okay. What I did, okay, I did not kick the dog. What I did with my foot, I will demonstrate on my water bottle. What I did is I came over with my foot and I lifted him up and off of the other dog because they were attacking each other. So I had to
But-
separate them, and I'm not going to put my hands near my dogs when they're literally biting each other. Like, he drew blood on Starbuck that day. But I used my foot to lift him up and away, and he immediately released.
Up and
But it wasn't
away,
across the room. Like, it was maybe a foot or two. It wasn't.
No, it was. It
She's
was
extremely
it was more than
exaggerating
a
right
foot.
now.
I have the video.
I did not hurt our dog.
So I
He was
didn't
not
say-
hurt.
I didn't say you
No
hurt
bruises.
him. I
no.
just said you
No
kicked
bumps. No nothing. But kicking is very misleading.
Jacob, it was with the foot.
It was a pickup and move away. And
Just
yes,
like-
he caught a little bit of air, but again,
there's this place in Temecula where I used to live called Get Air. I don't know why. As soon as he,
You used to live in Temecula?
yeah.
Yes.
You didn't know that? That's where he grew up.
That's where Trish and Danny moved from.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
we got some buddies
I
that
don't
are
know
from
who
there.
I don't know who that is, but cool.
It's my new annual giving coordinator and her husband.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they're
now
cool.
I know who that is.
They're very nice people.
Sweet.
We can leave it there.
By the way, my love languages are my top ones are physical touch and acts of service.
Yeah, that's me too. Except switch them: acts of service and physical touch.
Yeah.
I think after my last relationship, I feel like it also switched for me: acts of service and physical touch. Physical touch has just always been up there for me. That's just always been my thing. Which is that is a very common love language amongst men. I feel like
Physical touch?
physical touch is a very like
It
a
is
lot
very-
of,
But not
a
with
lot of
other men. Just men with the opposite sex.
It's either or, Jacob.
I mean, honestly, I do appreciate physical affection from guy friends, in the sense of like patting me on the back or the fist bump or
The handshake.
nudging
Or
or
the
whatever. Or
psh,
like,
psh, boom,
yeah, exactly.
bro hug,
Yeah.
right?
Kind of,
That kind
yeah.
of thing.
Yeah. The bromance
The
kind of stuff.
broma. Okay, now it's getting weird.
I will say I was very touched by the Cobra Kai episode where Johnny and his son, what's his son's name?
Robbie. Why are
Robbie.
you guys sinking into the couch? You guys are getting lower and lower every time I look at you.
Dude, when we
It's
started,
comfy.
I was sitting like this.
Yeah.
I
Well,
literally
did see-
like
Oh,
had my head in.
take
I
the
was
camera
like,
off me. I'm chillaxing. I don't want it on me.
Both of you are chillaxing.
Hey,
Y'all are falling off the couch.
I'm not falling off. I'm on the couch.
They're like,
I'm
I'm-
just like in it.
I would have to move quite a bit in order to fall off the couch.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, what was I saying?
we're talking about love languages.
Well,
yeah, but
okay.
then we went off.
But I wanted to kind of switch over to DuckDuckGo here real quick, just so you can see what we're talking about.
Okay.
There we go. Love languages. So this is the one we're talking about here. Physical touch, nonverbal use of body language and touch to show love. Hugs, kisses, cuddling. Physical neglect or abuse is the avoid.
Savage Shinra. Just saying.
Yeah. Touch appropriately and with consent, obviously. Come on, bruh. But that's what we're talking about. We're just going to keep that up there for just a moment.
It's also it is important to know and understand your partner or even like your friends' love languages. Why do y'all think so?
Well, because if you don't, like, say for instance, Jacob's love language is physical touch. Okay. So his is physical touch, but I express it by giving gifts and by Jacob, why you got the camera on me?
Because you're talking.
Okay.
People want to know who's talking, so I switch the cameras. Oh, Alika's not talking, so I can put it on Rianne. Jacob's talking, I can put it on me for a minute.
Okay. Just keep it on you. They can see all of us. Okay.
Okay.
So, but
As you
like,
say.
if I never touched Jacob and only gave him gifts
That'd be weird for me.
and only like wanted to conversate with him with words of affirmation, then he would not feel loved or fulfilled in our relationship.
I agree.
So,
Because I would probably feel the same way.
right? And like Jacob, when he doesn't show me love in the way that I need to feel like the way I need it or the way I receive it, then I feel very neglected and very unfulfilled in our relationship.
It's also why it's very frequent to ask the question, what do you need?
You know, and that can be frustrating because I feel
Getting
like
it all the time or just like,
well, no, because I'll feel
checking
sometimes
in.
what like I'll ask Jacob what he needs, and he won't tell me or is not able to tell me because he doesn't know sometimes.
Sometimes I don't know, but also sometimes, like, the way I grew up, you don't do that kind of stuff.
You don't express your needs.
Yeah.
yeah.
See, and that's when that's not healthy. And there were some points in in growing up where I would express my needs and I would be chastised for them and made to feel like I'm a burden. So therefore, I have a very hard time expressing need or a requesting help. And I feel sometimes that I'm a burden to the people who love me. And so, and that's like a real mind.
Don't say it. Keep it PG. Literally, PG-13 now is like PG, like when we were growing up. Like, let's be honest.
Because they can say 13 times in a movie without being
Can you
rated R.
believe that? 13 times?
I actually almost said it. Sorry.
You can get away with like 2 or 3 in PG nowadays. You're just like, okay.
Can you?
Mm-hmm.
People say the F word in PG movies?
No.
Oh, no, I mean PG-13. I'm sorry. I meant PG-13.
I was like, they do not say
Yeah,
PG movies.
the PG-13 movies, they at least have like 3 to 5 now. Where before you weren't allowed to say that extent of curse word. That was reserved for rated R.
Yeah, but also like rated R, like get this, rated R like before the 90s wasn't nearly as bad as rated R after the 90s. So now like when I see rated R movies from any time before like 91 or 90 even, I'm kind of like,
these are so tame.
This is okay. This is rated R just because they're saying a lot. So
sometimes it's rated R for the gore too, though.
You mean the ketchup blood?
Yeah.
I remember like growing up in the 90s and 2000s where it was really difficult to be able to watch like a kung fu movie that wasn't rated R because like because it was violent. Because it was violence. Like violence. I don't know. Violence is kind of more a gray area nowadays. But back then, if it was too violent, it was automatically rated R. So if you got a punch to the face or kick to the face, it was literally automatically rated R. Which is really funny because when the first Matrix movie came out, they were literally on the borderline for a PG-13 and R rating. They basically said, you know, if you can take out like 1 or 2 more punches or kicks to the face or the head, they would give it a PG-13. And the Wachowski brothers were like, no, we're not going to do that. Just give us the R. And so they rated R.
Which is crazy because like you watch that movie now.
Somebody should fact check that.
You watch that movie now and you're like, why is this R? Like what?
Well, there is, like, in one of the Matrix movies, there is, like, basically an orgy scene.
Yeah.
I remember watching
sequels,
that on a date.
The Matrix?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one with the orgy
it was
scene,
the third
and
one.
I was like...
Yeah, it was the third one, and they were celebrating...
No, it was the second one.
Or the second one.
Second one.
Excuse me, yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is weird. Why am I watching this with this... dude I barely know? It was
awkward.
Yeah.
That's one way to get to know each other, I guess.
Yeah. Ew, but do you know what's so awkward?
Do you like when he does that? I don't know. Do you like when she does that?
Okay. Try watching like a romantic. So me and my mom went and saw Meet Joe Black with Brad Pitt.
There's some spicy scenes in there.
And there was an intense love scene, and I'm like, this is so weird. I'm sitting here watching this with my mom. But then, like, it showed a real close-up of the girl's face, and they didn't edit out a pimple that was on the tip of her nose. And so we just laughed, because there was, like, one other couple in the movie theater. And so, like, we saw the pimple on her nose, and because it was on a movie screen, it was literally the size of my hand. And so we just started laughing. So that's how we got through that scene together, was we laughed at the
hilarious.
fact that they forgot to edit out the one thing on her nose. And then when it came to VHS, of course, it was edited out. Because... I was curious.
That's a good point. So how about all of the adult jokes they've been able to get away with in children's movies and films?
Oh, Shrek is
especially like Disney and Pixar stuff.
Could you imagine?
I think DreamWorks does it more than Disney.
Give your favorite DreamWorks movie, or even like your favorite Pixar movie, an R rating, or no, a PG-13 rating. And it gets one F-bomb. Where are you putting it? Get the out of my swamp!
From Shrek.
Get out of my swamp!
You were so good at keeping yourself from saying the actual word. I'm impressed.
I'm
impressed.
I'm doing my best here. Like
but yes, those things are. Yeah, I do turn red. Like that stuff does. You know.
Wait,
it is a little embarrassing.
I think we're off topic a little bit.
That's okay.
Watching intimate scenes with your partner, is that a love language?
Quality time.
Quality time. Very focused.
Where are we at for
It's
right
7:10.
Right now we're at 45 minutes. So
okay.
So
we probably want to talk about your afterlife stuff if unless we want to continue on this line of rabbit hole or squirrel
I know.
left or right.
No,
we
let's
went.
stay on topic.
Okay, so as far as afterlife stuff goes, do you guys have thoughts?
Of course.
What happens when you die? When you die.
Why don't you give us your thoughts first?
Me?
Yeah.
Or
Or did you not have any thoughts? It was just a question you wanted to hear from us.
Well,
answer from us.
I do have thoughts. So I mean, I just
Ooh.
when I start stuff off, I tend to ask other people. So
No, that's good. So
Well, you're driving, so
I've read a lot of accounts of it, and my mom reads the books like all that. She loves reading stories about like near-death experiences or the afterlife. You know, people who have died and who have come back and everything. Like she loves that stuff, and so I always am hearing stories of like the most recent story she read or something. So, but the always like the common theme is it's not about religious dogma or anything. It's literally just about love. And like there is like pain and suffering. Like most of the people that go, they walk through both sides. Like there's they express like the demons and the hell and living in the darkness and all that sort of stuff, that dark energy, and then they talk about like pure love, just the light and everything. So those are the two things that always come up in the stories that my mom tells me.
yeah. So for me, the biggest way that I can explain what I believe is I don't know. I think the universe is way too big for our human brains to be capable of understanding. But that doesn't mean that I don't really disbelieve in anything at all, because the universe is so big. Like,
and pretty fantastic when you get down to the, what's out there.
Right.
And stuff we don't know that's out there.
Exactly. So it's like we really don't know. We're not capable of knowing because of like the capacity that we're at now.
Right.
I will say, I've noticed that a lot of religious beliefs have depicted like scripture, Bible, Mormons with the Book of Mormon and like the Quran, like a lot of things kind of depict God to be like a very black and white thinker. And that like, it's just, if you're good, you're good. If you're bad, then you're bad. Like that's what it is. But I kind of feel like if God was real, then he wouldn't be a black and white thinker. He would be understanding of a lot of the circumstances. So like if we like talk about
never thought of it that way. That's interesting.
Right. So like think about with a lot of general conference talks in Mormonism, there's like the big topic of like, adopted families aren't always going to be together, or like if your family was sealed but one person ends up no longer following the belief in the church, then your family is not going to be together forever anymore.
That is a belief of theirs, yeah.
Right. So my whole thing was with that is like, if there is a God that is absolute, I don't know, and I honestly seriously doubt that he would think of it and think of that situation as black and white as y'all are making it out to be. I feel like he's the kind of person
think in those terms.
I agree. I think that if he is who he is described to be, then I'm sure he would be a very understanding and kind person. But also, Rianne, what you were saying with like the afterlife, how it's really all just about love. To me, that is the most mind-blowing answer, because like what we were talking about earlier, love is something that it's not really something that you can explain. It's something that we're not like don't fully understand.
I
So
definitely agree.
like-
It's deeper than, the top level stuff that we're taught, for sure.
Exactly. So it's like, I don't know, if that's where the universe ended up like pointing towards, then I need some more of that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and what's interesting is like the reason why people like there's been evidence that like in way ancient time when the church was first started, there was use of hallucinogens like mushrooms and all that stuff.
Because everybody was experimenting in that time.
Mm-hmm.
There was like a spiritual awakening back in those days during
Yeah.
the Protestant
So
days.
there was a spiritual awakening and stuff, but the thing is like people utilize mushrooms and nature to like DMT and all that stuff to kind of connect to that
cannabis.
consciousness,
Yeah.
which would be awesome, but I think it's also very intense, and that's why we don't experience it on a regular level. But like in because I've read a few of the near-death experiences and read a few books off of people's experiences where they actually had died, and then I also had very close family members relay their experience to me. Like my dad, he died and was brought back, and he explained how it felt and everything, and it was really weird because my aunt had died that same night, like an hour before my mom went.
Oh yeah, I remember you telling me
Right?
this story.
Yeah. And so like he saw my aunt at the hospital, even though she was
Oh,
in
yeah.
Ogden
I remember this
and
story.
had just passed away.
Mind blowing.
Yeah, so it was a very
And there's a lot of stories that
intense.
people relay similarly. They have like kind of like this out of body experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that story very vividly. Like I have it memorized almost because it's such a important story to my family.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it is so much bigger than we can comprehend. And so that's why when like I think we just lose perspective on what it's really about, and that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're easily distracted and easily manipulated.
Spiritual manipulation is very heavily used in a lot of like the organized
Religion
religious
dog,
beliefs.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also used in politics too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. One nation under God.
No,
If
but
you were to twist it.
yeah, but that's to bring unity. But
They like to use like
politics-
fear and manipulation in
So-
politics to keep people like and
right. So spiritual manipulation, like it can be the use of fear or emotional manipulation,
right.
because that's what it is. The difference is the church uses like a spiritual, like a omnipotent being. Well, you won't be able to be with this, heavenly Father if you drink and smoke and don't keep the commandments and all that stuff. And in all actuality, I don't think God is that small or that petty.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe there is a purpose behind those teachings and to stay clear of like drinking and drugs and all that stuff, because sometimes that can cloud. Well, drinking alcohol and stuff, it slows the senses. But also the whole like not doing drugs thing. Man-made drugs are not
It's like,
bueno.
well, what? Define
But-
drugs.
But here's the other thing is they didn't want the lay person, like the history of the church, they don't want the lay person accessing a higher consciousness. So they kept the whole propaganda of mushrooms and drugs and psychedelics and all that stuff on the DL, because
Yeah. Well, it was definitely, historically, it was used a lot. Both alcohol and psychedelics in spiritualism,
Mm-hmm.
even before, teachings of Jesus
right.
that we know today.
But the thing is I think like
Even through that.
the modern churches today, I think, they keep psychedelics, mushrooms, and all that stuff as illegal substances, because if they didn't, and the majority of the population were to be woken up or connected to that higher source and feel like connected to their source, they couldn't be controlled. Like,
Yeah, that
we
makes
wouldn't
sense.
fall into consumerism as easily as we do. We wouldn't fall into the political bull crap that we do. You know what I mean?
Or the social media wokeisms,
Well, yeah, our
which
time
is
and
kind of
our-
like this latter day, like,
yeah.
like religious,
Well, politics is the new religion of this generation, I would say.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
I just like, if we were all kind of conscious and like aware of what was going on, it would be so much, we wouldn't be able to be controlled.
yeah.
And we
You would
are.
not be limited.
Exactly.
Whoa.
So, nice.
We'd be limitless.
But, and they actually they're starting, I think, they've tried to open up some studies to see how psilocybin and other psychedelics can actually help repair and rejuvenate neurons in the brain to heal
Regrow
trauma.
back like dendrites and stuff like that.
To heal trauma. To
PTSD.
Yeah, PTSD. Well, trauma and depression and anxiety. So there's been some studies happening there, and
Yeah, they're having some really great results.
I've looked into that a little bit. Because, like, I don't want to take a synthetic, like, medicine that if the dosage is off just a little, you can have suicidal ideations and might end up killing yourself kind of thing, right?
Uh-huh.
Like,
Yeah.
to me, that is just, like, that's, nah.
Yeah.
Nah. I'd rather use what God has given us. Because I do still believe in God and all that. And I'd rather use what the Creator has given us to heal ourselves rather than some pill from Big Pharma.
Yeah, I actually still struggle with taking my my supplements. My body does not like taking pills.
I think you psych yourself out a little bit about it too.
Yeah, maybe.
So yes, we are a household of gummy vitamin consumers.
Yeah, we love them.
So,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, the theory that my sister and I were talking about last weekend involved like a less religious belief, but then like the idea of different dimensions all existing in one plane, but it's like one on top of the other. We also talked about how, like, with time, like, you know how some houses are haunted, and the way that I asked that, you know how like some houses are haunted,
Bro, like, did you even like know?
Okay,
Like,
so
some houses, you know,
So you're
haunted?
talking paranormal activity.
right. So here's what I'm trying to get at. It's so the whole idea of your house being haunted. What if, like, that's just the energy that's in the house, right? So if one thing happens at one point in time in that house, like, you know, someone's killed in the house or whatever, if it's such a traumatic and gnarly event that it leaves a scar in time almost, and like echoes throughout history, and that's what you
through
feel.
the different dimensions.
Yeah, and
So
that's what I'm
that's-
feeling.
Interesting.
So,
So-
rather than it being a ghost that's living on a time loop, basically, it's just
It's the memory of the house echoing itself so far into the future that, like, even we can still feel it or hear or understand
because the
it in a way.
experience was so it had such an energetic
Yeah.
intensity that it ripped a hole in the time-space continuum.
Right. So it was so
To-
loud. Like, the energy that happened with it is just so loud that it speaks through time.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Well, shoot, way to take
That's
a more
deep.
like physics.
Yeah,
Approach.
definitely. Yeah, more like yeah, well, not only what do they call it, quantum mechanics and stuff like that. Like, that's where you get into the weird stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
It was a theory that we thought of, and I was like, mind blown.
I like that theory. That's a good theory. Yeah, don't worry, Shinra. We'll get to your questions and your funny quotes here in just a few minutes. We'll address those, and we'll we'll laugh along with you in just a moment. I would, you know, like we tell you guys, I grew up LDS, so that's kind of like my base for, you know, what I think and what I believe. But where I'm at right now is I'm an agnostic theist, which basically means that I don't know and I can't prove or disprove an existence of a supreme creator or a god or a deity. But I still believe that there's something higher there, or someone or something that's greater than all of us. And I still pray, you know? I think the teachings and the stories around Jesus Christ, I think, are really important, especially to us today. And I think they're very applicable for us today in a lot of different things, even though we can all agree that a lot of that stuff's been messed up over time and by, handing from one person to another and kind of putting their own stuff into it and stuff. But if I was going to say what I believe as far as like, is there an afterlife? I would say that I believe that there is something after this existence. We just don't know or understand or could even, begin to comprehend like what it is. And I think there's also the psychedelic theory as far as like that was how Christianity was born. It was just people strung out on mushrooms and cannabis, and they're just like burning bush. That a lot of them's like, oh yeah, he was smoking the ganja. But I like to believe that there's something greater than us, and I feel like there's something more important after this life, because I feel that if it's just what we have right now in our existence, I feel like it's a huge waste of time, because we're not doing what we really want to do. We're just going to work every day, in our job to pay our bills, and then we eventually die with no money to our name. A lot of us anyway. And so I feel like if that was our whole existence in this life, it just feels like it's not very relevant. It's just like, well, then why don't I just go, in the wilderness, build a log cabin and live off the land? It's like, you can't do that, because society would be like, no, that's our forest. Get out of there. Society and civilization has, changed a lot of the things. But yeah, I would probably say that there is something after this life. Perhaps there was something before this life. Who knows? But the different accounts that people have with out-of-body experiences and like being in an astral form and being able to travel and to learn and to like experience things on a different level than physically, or mortality is what we call it. Yeah, I just don't feel like this life is a complete waste of time. Like, I feel like it's leading up to something, we just don't know or understand what it is.
So then, Alakai, if you do want... That's pretty deep, huh?
That
was a deep thought. I'm going to acknowledge that.
Thank you.
But I also want to acknowledge Alakai's theory. So that's the theory of like a trauma experience in a house. But what about like when you die? What did you guys talk about? Do you think
like when our bodies just...
Or the soul. Yeah, like what happens?
Yeah, we know that we all expire and our physical form remains.
Yeah,
but what after that?
What
like spiritually?
Yeah, or
what happens
astrally, or energy? What are your thoughts?
Are you going with the traditional?
Heaven and hell.
I don't know. See, that's the thing, is I think, like, I don't think it's that black and white. I don't think that everybody's heaven is going to be the same. I don't think everybody's hell is going to be the same either. Because, like, think about, like, Christianity's version of hell is very fiery flames. And then you got, like, the Norse belief that hell is actually a very cold place.
Dark, yeah.
Yeah, because they lived like, that shit.
They lived in the Frigyard.
Right. So, I mean, like, you have a lot of different beliefs as to like what's going to happen. Rianne, when you talk about like really everything's all about love, like that kind of blows my mind a little bit, because I'm like, maybe that's just my hippie shit turning on, or or if like or if that's really just